Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Property Pros podcast. We have another great guest for you today. It is Nicki Finne. She's a senior property manager with the Bainbridge Companies. Nicki, take a few minutes and tell us about yourself and Bainbridge Companies, what you do, and how you got there.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me. I am currently with the Bainbridge Companies, like you said, as a senior property manager. I have been in the multifamily industry in Jacksonville for just over 20 years. Don't want to give out my age totally, but I've lived in Jacksonville my whole life. I'm born and raised, so I've seen a lot of changes and got into property management a little over 20 years ago. And I've been on the vendor side. I've done sales. I started as a leasing consultant and worked my way up eventually to a property manager, and was at a regional level at one point as well. So I've kind of done it all, mostly luxury A+ communities throughout the city of Jacksonville. And it's a fun, interesting industry. It's never a dull moment. So especially with this crazy market right now. So lots going on with the market today. So a lot different than I've seen in the past.
Well, hey, Nicki, yeah, I can imagine. In fact, all the time when we're driving around the city, we see a tremendous amount of new apartment complexes being built. And we just want to know, what's your perspective on the new units that are coming in the pipeline related to what we currently have in Jacksonville, which is a shortage of housing for lots of folks?
It definitely is. I have no tree is safe, is what I say in Jacksonville. I'll go out of town for the weekend and come back and trees are gone. And so the growth has been immense. There is over the last couple of years, there's been about 1,400 units, new units brought on average a year, where now we're going to see just under 4,000 units delivered this year in multifamily. And over the next 5 years, it's just under 10,000 units that are slated and in the pipeline for new construction for multifamily. And just like you said, yes, there is a shortage. It's on national news. Rents are increasing. We've got a lot of folks moving from out of town. And we're seeing trends of people moving. We've always had people move from the Northeast. That's very common. You know, you've got your snowbirds that come, but now we're seeing people coming from the Midwest, from California. We're getting a lot more people from other areas. So they are used to these higher rents that we're seeing because of the shortage and because the housing market is so good. It's thrown a lot of people back into the rental market that people didn't expect they wouldn't be able to find an apartment. They thought renting something would be very easy. So the new construction is good. We need it. We need the housing. It's really branched out and spread out, whereas a lot of folks were more looking to move to central, Jacksonville, South Side, Town Center area, where now it's moving south and going towards, Nocatee. And then, of course, even to the north, there's just so much growth and so much opportunity that it's really exciting to watch. And it's been interesting to see. It's very competitive, but it's lowered concessions in our market, which has been good, and it has increased property value, which is amazing as well. I think it's really putting Jacksonville on the map for sure.
And then, so with the kind of a drastic increase in the number of units coming online, I know obviously they're not going up overnight, but
Right.
Still your industry has got to prepare and be ready for when they do come online, or as they come online, that there are folks like you that can help to manage all these properties. How do you see that happening?
It's there's a lot of training and education through the First Coast Apartment Association, which is definitely where I would send anyone that was interested in finding out, how to become a part of the industry. There's certifications that are not required, but very important to have. The employment market right now in general, as we all know, has been tough, but it's the same with the apartment industry. The Experience levels are not as high. Pay rates are increasing because, you know, people are asking for a little bit more money, and it's hard to keep good people right now. So honestly, building a good team and having good people is the only way that I've been able to survive through all of this and still be here and still love it. And it's really, you know, building teams and the people that you're around. And I think that at the end of the day, that's always going to prevail. And we're going to have the market change. We're going to have more units. We've been through it before. We've seen heavy concessions. We've seen a lot of different things, but we'll adjust accordingly. But I think to the core, the people and customer service, all of those things are going to continue to be the one thing that's going to set you apart from your competitors. And running a very nice, clean, you can be a vintage property, but you got to be clean. If you're brand new, you know, you've got the bells and whistles, but there's issues with new construction too. There's always, you know, going to be something that's going to happen. So we really focus on reputation management, reviews, and getting good, solid reviews from our residents. That's the best form of providing an experience to our residents before they move into one of our communities. And we really, you know, deliver an exceptional living experience. And that's, I think, gonna always be key in this industry, no matter how much the market grows or changes.
You know, I think that's got to be a tough thing for you to combat. I mean, the people coming from out of town that are used to higher rents is one thing, but the locals who are not used to it, that are sort of in this pinch, you know, you do your best to keep their units nice and maintain the grounds and all the common areas. How do you and your staff deal with helping our locals adjust to?
I rent myself, and honestly, I've been, you know, kind of been prepared for an increase and know that it's coming. And a lot of the locals know that the market now is changing. They are accepting of it. They understand, but they're becoming more educated. They're watching rates, they're watching things, and they're really taking a little bit longer to make a decision because there's not so many great options just glaring at you saying, hey, you can get this great move-in special. It also is stopping people from moving every year because, oh, I might get a month free at this new place and then move again. They want to stay. They want to stay, and they want to build a community. And we're seeing that more now than ever. But it's one of the concerns that I've had actually about our locals. I am concerned that us locals are going to be pushed to other areas because these folks that can afford the higher rents are going to be, you know, coming in and easily, you know, stroking that check every month. And it's going to change the dynamic of the sub-markets in Jacksonville. Jacksonville's always been a unique market. I've worked for companies that are out of Texas and out of, you know, South Florida, and Jacksonville's always been a mystery to everyone that we speak to. And it's critical to understand our city because it's so spread out. Looking at a map doesn't do it justice. So I think you're going to see more renovations in some of the more the vintage communities. You're going to see, you know, those kind of dollars going in to create value there so that we can still continue to provide an exceptional living experience for our locals who are still making Jacksonville income.
Yeah. All right, Nicki, you've worked for a couple of different property companies, property management companies, and we've already talked about the importance of reputation management. I guess, what do you see Bainbridge doing differently? What do they excel at? You know, you mentioned reviews are important, and we all know that also, you know, retention is important. How do you see that working at Bainbridge?
So as that is definitely our motto, is to provide the exceptional living experience. We start from, you know, the moment someone walks in the door. It is always, you know, customer service driven. It's always about the customer. And we are very sensitive to our current residents versus new folks moving in. We try to keep that balance. We make sure that they have everything that they need. Amenities are clean and they are pristine and they're working well. And that's been very tough with supplies and trying to get certain things. The customer service that we used to be able to provide, like just, for example, replacing someone's refrigerator. I used to be able to get one the next day. Now it's going to be a few weeks if I'm lucky. If not, it's going to be a couple months. And people are understanding that, but communicating with our residents, letting them know Bainbridge builds an exceptional product and really cares about the people in the company, which in turn helps us care about our residents. And I really feel like they see that experience. And when they see that they are going to live at a Bainbridge property, they know that they're going to get the best of the best.
You know, Nicki, that's great. You know, I want to talk more about what you mentioned earlier, maybe touched on the residents that are already in your communities and keeping them, instead of, you said maybe in the past they would move more often. Tell us what you guys are doing or what they can do to sort of help themselves, or for people that own these buildings, what you think is good business on their side of the street. Because as we know, with the 60 Minutes piece, we've gotten a lot of publication here in Jacksonville, and I'm interested in your feedback.
Absolutely. So resident retention has always been critical and a huge part of our industry. And before social media and everything like that, you know, we would send a letter to your door, we're having a party. And I can honestly say that when I first moved into my first apartment, I saw that they were doing karaoke at the pool, and I was like, I am not going to that. They have got to be kidding me. And now we're throwing these amazing parties, and you know, people are coming. They feel more comfortable because they're in their community. They want to build that sense of community. And if they're going to be there for a few years instead of jumping around, we offer, you know, we want to support local. So we do local vendor networking events. Food trucks are a huge hit at our communities. So we have them in most of our communities once a week. We do yappy hours where we bring on a mobile dog grooming company, and they will do services for our residents. Bingo is a huge hit at the property that I am at now. And every property is different. They all have different things and you have to find what is important to your resident and get that feedback. You could have something that could work great at one community and then it doesn't work as well at another. So you have to listen to your residents, and we survey our residents. We ask them these questions. We do polls within the community. We do community rewards where if they share and they do, you know, participate in our polls, they get points, which in turn gets them gift cards to different, you know, restaurants and things in the area. So we really try to support local. That's a really big thing, especially for our communities in Jacksonville, because we are growing so much and getting so much exposure. We wanna make the city look good, and we do a lot of giving back. We always participate with doing pet drive donations every year. And then we also do breast cancer awareness, and that's as a company and whole. And then, for the holidays, we do the Second Harvest Food Bank. And so we make sure, and I think we collected over 400 pounds of food, you know, just at this one community. So people want to give back, they want to be involved, and they like having parties and functions at the community. And that success and people turning out for that, it really makes them feel like, hey, I'm getting more bang for my buck. You know, this is a part of my community. I'm not don't just have a swimming pool and a wonderful fitness center. I have, you know, people in the office that care about me, amazing maintenance. You know, we encourage reviews, we ask for them because we want, you know, even bad reviews, we appreciate the feedback. And we try to take that and learn from it. And then again, with our resident functions, we try to give people what they're looking for so that we can build that experience. And that helps create value, especially when we're, you know, dealing with the market increases that we are now due to the growth in Jacksonville.
Talk more about that. You know, we were talking a little bit before we started about how you have to kind of balance the rents and the increases with the market, but also keep in mind, you know, the needs and abilities of the tenants.
It is definitely a conversation with just about every single, person that is coming up on their lease expiring. We try to always touch and give them a good experience throughout the whole, from beginning to end, from when they lease an apartment until it's time to renew. A lot of feedback that we get from surveys or that I've received in the past is that residents feel like they get, once you lease to them, you're really nice, you just get them in the door and then you forget about them until it's time for that renewal letter to come around. And now it is, conversations throughout the whole lease, asking for that feedback. And then, inviting them to come in. And as a property manager, I personally make sure that I have that meeting with that resident, talk to them about, hey, what's going on in your apartment? What do you need? How can we help? And we do provide, things like some touch-up paint or, maintenance inspection of their apartment, and do lots of things that we would normally do on renewal. But also, again, people do understand the market. And one of the biggest challenges is if someone who's currently living in your community is paying more than a new person coming in. So that balance is huge. And luckily, the company that Bainbridge Companies takes that into consideration, and they really feel that is giving, once our residents see the increase, we talk about it, I tell them what's going on. I encourage them, please go look at what's out there, look online, see what is there. And I am confident that you're still getting a really good deal. And then the cost of moving, switching everything over, the movers, everything like that, you really are, they get over that initial shock of, an increase where we were seeing 3 to 5% increases, 3% across the board for several years until just recently. So it's, if you're providing a good product and a good service, you're going to have good resident retention. And we have an average of 60%. And in the demographic that I manage right now, everyone can afford a home. So we lose people to, home purchase. But right now, as we know, homes are not available either. So people aren't wanting to buy right now. So it's really talking to your residents, letting them know, and making sure if asking them what they want to see too, for improvements in order to make this a long-term community that they would want to stay in.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that in your property segment, that people regularly move out and buy a home, and now because there's less inventory in homes, it might not happen. As the new inventory of units come online for apartments and whatnot, will that stabilize the prices of the increases and possibly even allow the prices to deflate in any way? Is that even being talked about at Bainbridge?
It's a huge topic of conversation weekly, with owners, because in my particular situation, I have a brand new property that's opening right next door, and it's being built and it's almost finished. So we are talking about it, even more and more, and understand. And again, we see this influx of product come online, and that's when concessions can get heavy again. And 2 and 3 months free is going to be very attractive to people. And that's always been our challenge when we have new product coming online. With this much coming online, it will depend. I think that we're going to be able to sustain it for at least the rest of this year, but we are definitely, keeping in mind that we have to consider all of the new product that's coming online, all of the new homes that are being built as well. So that is going to catch up eventually, and it definitely could, we could see a downward trend. And I don't think that rates will decrease. I think concessions will increase, and you'll see that upfront $1,000 off, month free. I mean, 3 years ago, 2 months free on a new community that was trying to lease up and fill up was standard. And sometimes you just had to wait it out, let them get full, and if you can't sustain those kinds of concessions. So we are hoping that, we'll have to see, we'll have to go and watch our comps. We watch them very closely. We make sure that when they're offering specials, that, once that starts, then, that's how we base the market. So I think that it'll be very interesting to see what happens with concessions, as I think that rents won't decrease as much as you'll see more concessions in an upfront way. Because typically through all of my experience in the multifamily industry, rents will not be decreased once they're already there, but those concessions and renewal concessions may come into play at that time too, as we see these new communities opening.
You mentioned that was a hot topic at your weekly meetings. Curious what some of your other hot topics are at your weekly meetings, and then you've got a lot of experience. What are you expecting to see in just maybe the next year or two?
So I am expecting to see I am continuing to see that customer service again is going to be key. Keeping rents at where they are, and healthy rent growth is always what our owners want to see. They want to see, less expensive, higher revenue, and talking to our owners on a regular basis about what you need to do and make sure as the market is changing and as we have these properties coming online. A couple of things I benefit from is I'm going to get more traffic from the marketing dollars that my next door neighbor might be spending, because they are trying to build their community, where in turn we're going to have to, we're going to have folks that are going to want to go to that community. And so we are constantly looking and educating ourselves, training, we're very involved in the apartment association in our areas, so that we can support them, see what the newest trends are, and see what the marketing trends are, and see what residents, surveying our residents is huge. Getting that feedback is important so that we can change as needed. I think that in the next year or two, we're going to see rents definitely stabilize and not continue to go up. But it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out.
All right, well, great. Before we completely run out of time, Nicki, how can folks find out more about you, the Bainbridge companies? Where can they find you? Through what social media, things like that?
Well, you can find Bainbridge Companies at all of our communities at bainbridgecompanies.com. And I actually will be at a new lease-up community in June. It's called Avenues Walk. So Bainbridge Avenues Walk. I see a smile on your face. I don't know if you know that property, but I will be going over to, I've done a lot of lease-ups. I've done it probably over 15, either as a regional or as a property manager, but that's my newest venture. So Bainbridge Avenues Walk will start leasing in June of this year, next month.
I have a house close to there that we rent, and you talk about competing against other Class A properties. You don't talk about it competing against single family houses. And my single family house comps against other single family houses and the multi-unit categories.
Oh,
and that
sure.
community is really very close to where the house is. So they will.
It's a huge market. We used to call it the shadow market back in 2009, when every apartment community was going to convert to condo. I went, I survived that. That's actually when I went to the vendor side of things, and I didn't know I was used to, I wasn't used to that kind of change. So after everything was going to convert and then it reverted back to apartments, we've always had, there's people that are investing, buying homes in Jacksonville, renting them out. So 100%, you are going to compete with them. We are competing with them. And yeah, if you want to keep my contact information, I can keep you posted on the market to help you with your rental home. I'm happy to help. But yeah, I love to engage in every aspect of the market, learn more and as much as I can and I really love Jacksonville. That's really where my heart is, and I love to see good things for Jacksonville. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, I'll be really close by starting next month.
Well, awesome. Thanks so much for being a part of this. We're glad you're here. We're glad to hear your story, and look forward to seeing you again.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, like I said, thanks again for coming aboard, Nicki. We're glad to have you this time. Folks, for those who want to check out her episode or other episodes, you can find it on our Facebook site, Property Pros Podcast, or our YouTube channel, or any other place that you can find podcasts. Thanks again for being a part of this. If you yourself would like to be a part of one of our future episodes, please reach out to us and we'll get you in touch with our producers. Thank you.